Good morning. It is Friday, the 14th of April, and we continue our little exploration of different books of the prophets in the Old Testament. Today, we are in the book of the prophet Daniel, the last of the major prophets, and it's Daniel 12, verses 1 to 4, and then jump through to verse 13. That's the very end of the book of the prophet Daniel. And again, if we follow the theme that we've picked up for this week, that God may well have consequences for misbehavior, but in the reading of those consequences and in the reading of the consequences when we obey God, we see this incredible picture of what God really wants for us. And so we can all too easily become fixated on all the negatives and think this God is just out to punish us and get us. But actually, we should turn that around and say this God wants the very best for us. And he's warning us that if we don't do what he's asked us to do, which gets us the best, then we're going to be heading in the wrong direction. And let's just use that as an analogy. If you're told to go right and you insist on going left and it leads you into trouble, who's at fault? Surely listening to the instruction would have gotten you to the place that you need to be, but not following the directions is going to have a consequence. Are you being punished by the person who meets out the consequence because you did not obey? No, of course not. And so it is with God. So we look for the positives because that's what God really wants for us. Now, Daniel is quite a scary book because it talks very much about the end times. And certainly it concludes with great persecution and trouble striking the earth. Now, again, with prophecy, is it talking very specifically and in a time-limited sense to the time in which Daniel was writing and the downfall of Israel and Judah being taken into captivity? Or is it talking about the end times, which you and I have not even yet experienced? And of course, we can debate that. So as we concluded once before, some time back, that with prophecy, we must always look for the can I call it the more short-term answer, perhaps a more medium-term answer, and then, of course, the possibility of a long-term answer. And I think sometimes those prophecies were not written with the long-term future in mind. So we need to discern if that was the case or not. But either way, if it is only for the people of Israel and Judah at the time, or if it is for us as well, or those who are still to come in the future, the consequences, the disaster that will strike the earth, God still has a plan for those who he knows. And that word knows means you're, as it's phrased elsewhere, are written in the book of life. These are the people who have honored God and followed God. God now knows you and he has a plan for you, a plan of deliverance. So really the question we have to ask ourselves is, does God know you? Have you spoken to him recently? Do you speak to him regularly? Have you confessed that he is Lord? Are you questioning? Then ask him, tell him those questions. You have doubt, ask him. And from my experience, he will always answer, especially those kinds of prayers. So be ready for quite a scary answer when he says, I do exist, and everything you've read and heard will come true. So now make a choice. So what is your choice? Do you know God? Does he know you? And what future will there be in your life? So, folks, something to think about this weekend. Now, in conclusion, next week I'll be away. I'm out the country at a conference, so I will only speak to you again the week thereafter. Have a wonderful time. God bless.